What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Heel Hookers Podcast, episode 155. We are back with some all right fights coming out of UFC Saudi Arabia this weekend. Early morning fights, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. The prelim started absolutely terrible. I hate it. Too early. Ginger always getting unlucky
9
with working.
It's not bad, but it's 7 a.m. for us. So
that's
shit.
Yeah, but it's just like somehow every time there's an early morning card, I am working that Saturday. It's starting to really piss me off. It's like, how is it I work every other Saturday, but it's that Saturday that is an early morning card?
Yeah, very unlucky, but let's go. We got some good results, some sad results, and some good stuff all around. Before we get into that, like and subscribe if you enjoy all the stuff we be doing. Let's go. But UFC Saudi Arabia main event, we had Israel Adesanya making his return to his first non-title UFC fight in 6 years since February of 2019, fighting Anderson Silva. Since then, 12 title fights. Absolutely insane what he's done in his career. But this time, taking on Nasruddin Imavov. I know coming into it, it's one of those things of Nasruddin, with like talking for like the awards last year of like comeback fighters of the years. Nasruddin was a good honorable mention because just having a loss and no contest the year before, just not active, not having anything good. 2024 rattles off a 3-fight win streak, really cementing himself towards the top of that division. Gets his shot at the former champion in Israel Adesanya, and it was so sad to see it. 30 seconds into round number 2, Nasruddin Imavov, overhand right, lands right on the chin of Izzy. That was such a big shot when they showed the replay of like how big it actually landed. Israel goes down, follows it up with a few ground and pound shots, gets it done in the second round. How you guys feel about this result?
I was about to say, the overhand right was vicious, but I want to say, most vicious shot out of that whole sequence was the uppercut when Izzy was trying to get back up. I think that one, right against Cage, we came in, just uppercut.
Just pop that shit back.
Yep.
And just, I think that was probably the most vicious. This is Imavov's most impressive win on his streak so far in terms of not only, name, but in also, fashion. He went to a majority decision with Roman. It was an early stoppage with Cannonier, even though I think he was on his way to winning that fight anyway. And then a UD decision over Brendan Allen.
Very sloppy fight, too. Did not look impressive.
No. And that's kind of why, I think a lot of people definitely believed Izzy was going to win, and I definitely was in that camp of, I don't know if Imavov's going to be able to do what he wants to do, but proved me the fuck wrong in this one.
Yeah, 100%. And it's hard because it's talking about it going in, it was I think that this is really going to be a test to see where Nasruddin is at and where Izzy is at. And it's Izzy didn't really look bad in the fight. He looked really good in there. He just got hit with a huge fucking shot. And Nasruddin is now the second person across boxing, kickboxing, and MMA to be able to get Izzy out of there by knockout, because Poatan did it in kickboxing and MMA, and now Nasruddin, the second person. It's he really hit him with some power shot to get him the hell out of there, where it's almost damn, it didn't really answer the questions that we thought that it could in a certain sense,
Yeah. And because because I know for me with coming in, it's just, thinking of okay, where is Izzy at? And it's not like he's actually getting so much worse or anything. Cause like you said, he still looked good. Even with the Dricus fight, when he got finished in the 4th round, he looked amazing up until then. It's just Dricus got him in that moment. And that just really what it was with this. Cause obviously there was the eye poke and then Izzy waved it off. And, I know you brought it up while we were watching it during the fight companion, but I had the same thought right away, feeling like the Poatan thing of oh nah, step away, I'm ready to go. And there was more of a delay and everything, but it was
barely.
Well, I mean, compared to how fast Poatan, because it was right.
Because the difference was, it's I feel like he's now done this twice in a fucking row, where he sees a big moment, and I feel like he wants to have that big moment himself. Even if it's just a background thought, it comes out, because he points to the ground with Dricus. What happens? He gets taken down and choked the fuck out for it. He gets poked in the eye, doesn't even look at the ref, just pushes him away like Poatan. But he didn't go. He let Nasruddin take that first step and just barrage him with punches and get him the fuck out of there. Nasruddin really stepped on the gas the second he waved it off. There's no stoppage. Okay, let's go. It wasn't Izzy who went forward. forward.
No,
like,
yeah, but it because like watching like the replay, it was just like because like as Nasser was like coming in, Izzy reached out both hands trying to just do the frame and like the hand play that he normally does, and then that's when fucking Nasruddin came right over the top with the overhand and just blasted him for it, and so that's where it's also of just one of the questions for me of just is it like just starting to get to that point where people are watching Izzy lose. They've had enough time. They've had enough tape. They're getting good enough in the game where like they're starting to just figure out the things to do to get it done. And I do think that with Nasruddin, obviously he's just starting to get into his prime. He's clearly a good fighter, but I feel like this might just be that like, yeah, people are actually starting to figure him out because that's something he's done so consistently throughout all of his fights of just framing, trapping his opponents, getting a reaction. He knows what to do. And he just got blasted right in the chin for it.
Well, not only that, but when he's like, when you watch the replay, it's not like his hand came straight back to where it's supposed to. It came down and was going around, and that was the biggest problem is the way he was bringing it back down and around to come back to where it's supposed to be, and that's when he gets hit with the overhand. It was down here and just gets completely wrecked by that overhand right. So it's just like one of those things where he was disengaging, and when the way he was disengaging is just like fundamentally is technically wrong.
Yeah,
like he's done it before, but it is one of those things where it's wrong, and like age is going to play a factor in his reaction time to being able to react to that. Because maybe earlier in his career he was able to exit that way, but able to react to strikes coming in like that. But now it's you're a bit older, you're a bit slower. You've taken a lot of you've taken damage in your career a lot more than you did earlier in your career. So it just is one of those things where you're going to have slower reaction times no matter what.
For sure. And it's like how many times in MMA have it like because like you said with his hand being down, moving straight back, hands down. Like that's how fucking Steve Ursa got absolutely blasted by Kai Kara France and got put out. You know what I mean? It's like but like there are just so many consistent where that just happens where you just move straight back, not at an angle, not moving your head, hands are down, not protecting yourself, and your opponent just steps in further than you expect, and that's just the money shot.
No, yeah, exactly. That's kind of the biggest thing is like I think MMA fighters like really need to start looking towards boxing as when you're disengaging is moving off at the angle, circling off, things like that. Because it is most of the fighters go straight back. It's one of the reasons I don't like tall man defense is because that's when a lot of people get clipped when they're trying to lean back with it, and then all of a sudden that left hand comes out of nowhere and they didn't see. So,
but yeah. So that absolutely incredible for Nasruddin being able to get it done like that. With Izzy now losing 3, or is it 4 of his last 5? It'd be 4 of his last 5 fights. 3 of those losses being by stoppage. What do you think should be next for Izzy? Obviously, it's like one of those things he could easily just retire, and he could easily just retire. His legacy is cemented. He could go on a 5-6 fight losing streak, and it's going to be the same thing as so many other great fighters before him, where it's like, you're just past your prime, getting put into too big of fights that you should be for your level, at that point. And you like his legacy is still cemented as the number 2 greatest middleweight of all time. What do you guys think would be the smartest for him? What do you want to see next for him?
I think if he wants to continue to fight, he needs to accept kind of where he's at and be willing to take a step back. And not let the UFC use him as that stepping stone upwards because of his name. Like if he gets offered a Kaio in his next fight, fucking deny that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Take a Brendan Allen fight, because like even though he's like a guy coming up and that's still like rough, that's still a lower level than the guys that he's been fighting where it's definitely a winnable fight. Take a Roman Dolidze fight, like, you know what I mean? Things of that nature where it's like, it's not going to be like the easiest thing, but he can still get it done,
Yeah, that's fair.
Like if he wants to keep fighting, unless he wants to keep unless he just has that like chip on his shoulder of like, no, like I'm the greatest, I can beat these guys, and he wants that Kaio fight, and then he just kind of ends up on one of those bad streaks. I think the best thing for him would be just take a step back and do not fight these up and coming guys and let them use your name,
No, for sure.
So UFC likes Izzy in big fights. We know this, all that.
Yep.
You know who else they like in big fights? Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
Just run the rematch. Because why not? Because Paulo apparently does not follow matchmaking rules anyway, because he's been fighting the top of the division anyway. Why not run that one back?
Yeah, and because honestly, that's where like my brain was going, because like in the same vein of like, like the step back in competition, but even with like the Brendan Allen and like the Roman Dolidze, obviously they aren't like the same level as the higher guys, but them fighting Izzy and getting that win, that's still like such a big statement and like, a push to their career.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like, I would honestly rather see, like, if he wants to fight, just do the Paulo rematch. Do a Jared Cannonier rematch if he wants. If fucking, depending on, like, just do rematches, like, fights that he's already have. I feel like that would be the best for Izzy.
I didn't know if they'd, like, would be quick to do stuff like that.
They probably would.
Which is why I said, like, those names opposed to, fucking Marvin Vittori or,
Yeah.
I mean, with Paulo, he's still a big name, and you put that into, like, any, like, pay-per-view as like a feature co-main. You go to Brazil, that's going to be a huge fight in Brazil. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, that's going to be a huge fight. So I feel like they would still look at that.
Paulo's like, the one that makes the much more sense. Like, they're not going to go to Jared.
No, they're not going to go to Jared or
Marvin.
Marvin.
Only fought him once.
Yeah.
So and with,
but yeah, definitely.
Jared potentially is about to lose to RoboCop. Like they're going to be fighting, and that's going to really show where Jared is at in his career.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I feel like, just a real step back in competition, and just and then along your line too, where it's like it's got to be a step back, but it is still going to be big fights. You know what I mean? Because that he's a big name. They're not going to just be like, oh yeah, let's do Izzy versus Jack Hermanson now. You know what I mean? It's like do fucking him versus Shara, honestly, without fucking.
You know what? That's so true.
Because we'll get into like that, because that was the co-main, but it's like something like that. I would like. Just it's got to really lean towards Izzy's favor, if it's going to be like a new guy, I feel like. But for Nasruddin, like you said, obviously the biggest win on his resume, 4 wins in a row now. What do you think is the most realistic thing that's next for him, given how logjammed the top of 185 is?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, I'm going to wait. Because the thing is like, it would give him probably about a year off, but it wouldn't be that long. It's not like it's edging over a year into a year and a half, 2 years, where it's something crazy. Dricus and Sean happens next week.
Yes.
If they can't get Hamzat for, like, say, the Saudi card, like if Turkey wants to get that done, and it does have to happen in October, that's still October. You know what I mean? So if they can get back to it by early next year, I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to wait it out.
I mean,
I just think there's no way that, like, because with you like to saying Kaio like in the mix, it's like there's no way that Kaio is gonna sit out. He's gonna be fighting someone.
Okay, you know what? I think then the best bet is he might be willing to do, if Sean loses, a Sean Strickland rematch, because he lost that decision to him back in early January of 2023.
Short it's notice, up a weight class too.
Yeah, where it's he is on a good streak. He is beating good guys. That it's like, if Sean loses, he might take that fight to solidify it. But it's like, if he just beat Izzy like that, he's been doing what he's doing. I just don't know if he's going to want to take that Kaio fight, because it's just another up and coming guy. I don't know.
No,
I'm not sure.
And that's one of those things where it is like weird. I did think like the most reasonable was going to more than likely be like the loser of Strickland versus DDP, because of Hamzat 100%. Like us being told he is getting that title shot, so it's like he either has to fight or sit out a year. I don't think the UFC does not like when fighters do that. The UFC really hates that.
Yeah, and because with bringing up Kaio, it's like, I don't think he's going to fight Kaio, but like Kaio's going to fight someone else. If he's sitting out, he's going to make his spot claimed,
He's going to be the one ended up fighting the loser of DDP Strickland, and then,
Yep, exactly.
Like, if Nasruddin didn't, and,
Because that's where it's hard, too. It's like, even if Strickland loses, I don't think he takes a Nasruddin fight.
That's true.
He's going to be like, I already beat him. Like, so I feel like if Nasruddin wants to sit out, then it's like Kaio is gonna get his opportunity at either returning Whitaker or Strickland, if Strickland's okay to take that, and then it's
But that's the thing about a logjam division, where it's like, how mad can the UFC be if like say Strickland loses and that's the fight that's offered, and Strickland says no. Well, where does that put Imavov? You know what I mean? Like, where does he fight after he just knocked out Izzy like early second round? Cleanest to get him the fuck out of there like that. So, where does that put him?
So with that, they'd be more lenient, because Nasruddin more than likely would have already signed the contract. Strickland said no. Imavov can't control what his opponent does. If his offered opponent does not take the fight, that's not Imavov's fault, and they understand that much at least. So they would probably, and depending on when they tried to book that, let's say they tried to book that for September, for example. 2 months before, October and all that. And it doesn't, no, the month before, sorry. Whatever. But they try to book it before the pay-per-view, right? Before the pay-per-view in October. And it's like, that's September, August area. Honestly, at that point, they'd be like, we'll just let Imavov fight the winner of this, because, like, he was not his opponents did not want to fight him. He has earned this shot with a 4-fight win streak, beating a former champion in Israel Adesanya. We're going to give it to him. It just would depend also on how much Kaio does fight, because if it's like, Strickland accepts Kaio, but also he fought, let's say, Whitaker earlier, let's say, like, May. It's like beating Whitaker and then Strickland back-to-back. That is such a hard thing to be like, no, you don't deserve the title shot. So it is one of those things where it is.
I just had a thought that I don't know why we are just glazing over this, and why, because we're talking assuming DDP wins. If Khamzat wins in October, because it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now Nasruddin's the next one up in line, whatever. That there's a good chance that fight does not happen for another year anyway. In the sense of, like, the next October, because it's like, if they can't get Khamzat, like,
bro,
Khamzat's able to fight in Saudi Arabia, right?
Well, listen, so this is what I'm trying to say, is because, like, he could fight in Saudi, but they've been doing fight nights in Saudi. So if they're not willing to switch up their pay-per-views to, one, put a pay-per-view there so they can fight sooner, or two, put Khamzat on a pay-per-view that doesn't necessarily make sense regionally because he's allowed to fight there, but they're just like, no, we'd rather save him for a bigger spot such as Abu Dhabi. And it's not like, at that point it's not on Khamzat, and I feel like a lot of people blame him because it's like, he can fight in France, he can fight in fucking, like, I'm pretty sure London, Australia, you know what I mean? He just can't fight in the US. But they don't put him on these cards because it doesn't fucking make sense, and then they save him for October. And if they do that because they don't decide to make a pay-per-view out of Saudi, we might have to wait till next October anyway to have anybody defend that.
Yeah, but I know Dana White has been saying that he's confident that, like, the visa issues with Khamzat are going to get sorted out, and so it's like, I feel like more than likely this year, especially just him being real close with Trump, and I wouldn't be surprised if that gets done, and we even get, like, Khamzat fighting in the US against the winner of DDP Strickland much sooner than October. But it's like, that would be worst case scenario. But it's also like, I feel like Khamzat wins, he's probably going up to fight Poatan at 205. Like, I don't think the UFC is going to have him stick around to defend the title. Like, they're probably going to want to do big fights with him,
I don't know. I didn't hear Dana say that. And, like, I know that there's obviously been the talks of, like, hey, with Trump in office, then that could potentially, but nothing clarified. So I'm just like, speaking on a realistic level with the information we have.
That is definitely, that is a potential. And then, then we have no idea what the fuck is ever going to happen. But so Nasruddin definitely does deserve something big next for sure. We'll see how it all plays out and who the UFC wants to push at 185 pounds. But sticking with the division, going into the co-main event, Shara Nurmagomedov taking on MVP. And motherfucking MVP gets it done by unanimous decision. It just, the speed was there, way more dynamic in the striking all around. What was the most surprising about this fight between these two for you guys?
Oh, nothing for me. I'm going to be honest, this is kind of what I expected. You have two technical strikers that, like, Shara more willing to go after it, but MVP is a lot of just point style karate fighting, in and out, landing his shots, and if you're bad enough, then he'll go out there and land something huge and get you out of there, But, like, if you're not, he's just in and out, in and out, in and out. And I had a feeling that would give Shara a problem. I don't know. That's just, it's kind of just what I had expected.
It's kind of what I expected too. And if you're like, this fight wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be, this is the reason we're not going to get Wonder Boy versus MVP, because it is going to probably be even less than this.
Because I know, seeing so many people like, oh yeah, it's going to be a banger, it's like, you have MVP, who is one of the most annoying fighters for probably anyone to fight on the feet. You know what I mean? In terms of his striking and just how, the in and out, the speed, the like movement. And then, but he's mainly a counter striker. Like, he wants to pull you into him so he can hit you with something big. Shara is also a counter striker that can really only throw kicks. He's not good with his punches. Has a wild reach disadvantage. Was the shorter fighter. You know what I mean? So it's like, I was expecting a very good technical, fun, striking match, but not some sort of banger. So it's like, anyone that was disappointed in that, it's like, if you see MVP fight someone that's a striker, it's only going to be like a banger like that if they're like a real hard-nosed pressure fighter that like has to go forward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Then you're going to probably get a real good fun and MVP doing a lot, and you know what I mean? But it's like,
I was about to say versus Holland. Like, Holland can counter-strike, and he does like to counter-strike, but he also does go forward a lot of the time because he is trying to get something going. So it is just one of those things where that one made sense in the moment. It makes sense that that's the way that fight went. This fight makes complete sense on how it went because it's literally like counter-striker versus counter-striker. One of them really only able to throw kicks, and it's hard to land kicks on someone who's, a fucking zip code away.
Yeah.
I mean, he was beating up the outside of his leg. You could see when he would turn to the side, just the swelling on it just made it look like massive muscle protrusion. It was kind of crazy.
It was ridiculous when you fucking pointed that out. I was just like, holy shit, man. But that was definitely, I forget at one point in the fight, but they were just like showed the graphics and Shara literally landing 0 strikes to the head at MVP, only shots to the body and legs.
I think that was even round 2 still too, and it was like,
damn.
Shara ends with 8 strikes landed to the head. Significant strikes.
Yeah,
that
absolutely
is
crazy.
Crazy.
So my biggest question for MVP with this one, because he's now 2-1 in the UFC, has got a win over Kevin Holland, lost to Ian Gary, which was made Ian Gary look bad in that one, and now gets a win over Shara. What do you think is the best plan for MVP inside the UFC? Because obviously it's like, he came in like just another one of these hype Bellator fighters of wanting to go and grab gold in the UFC. But where do you think should like the actual lane for him should be in the UFC?
Have fun.
Yes.
Do a Kevin Holland. Not in the sense of fighting 6 times a year, but in the sense of like, just take fights, bro. Like, win or lose, just go out there and have a fucking good time. Make yourself a fan favorite. Make yourself some money, because realistically, at the top of 170 or 185, I don't think he really has the greatest chance to grab gold by any means. You know what I mean? Like, we watched him lose to Ian Gary. There's definitely fights he can lose at 185 once he gets a little higher up in those rankings. It's like, brother, just have fun.
Yeah.
That's
I like that. The one that I said, and it was during the fight companion, I still like the idea of it because the buildup will be insane. Literally, America versus Britain. It's a tried and true, easy way to get hype on a fight. MVP versus Colby Covington. Colby will 100% take that fight. Colby is someone who is a pressure forward fighter who will try to push into MVP, will try to take him down. But both of them being older, I think there's a good chance MVP can win that fight. There's also a good chance because Colby likes to shoot in from a mile away. We could get, an MVP flying knee KO like he did against Cyborg Santos. May not that aggressively aimed in his skull, but I still like that. I don't mind because I saw people saying Jeff Neal versus MVP. I also don't mind that fight. I just prefer the Colby fight because of the build-up aspect of it.
Oh, that's because honestly, I was completely on board with the Colby one because that is like, it's going to be a big fight, hype fight. Like, there's just going to be a whole lot of fun with that.
Yes,
bro, give me fucking MVP and Jeff Neal. What that?
Those are fights that I mean, perfect. Like,
because obviously that'll have nowhere near as much luster, and it's like can in certain ways be like a harder fight. But that's a very interesting style matchup. But I definitely agree though that it's like just big fun fights. Try and get a whole lot of build up, put yourself into big moments so you can just get good paychecks. Just Try and do exactly what Michael Chandler is, but end up with a positive UFC record. You know what I mean? That's that's really all he can do.
Yeah.
But let's fucking go.
He's on the winning side so far.
Huh?
I said he's on the winning side so
Yep.
far.
Yep.
Hell yeah. But moving on down to the featured bout, a pretty overall lackluster fight, and definitely nowhere near as good as we were all hoping for.
Yeah.
Sergei Pavolvich gets the unanimous decision win over Jairzinho Rozenstruik. For sure, the most surprising thing for me in this one was Sergei actually going out here and grabbing takedowns on Jar Jar and looking to use that as a path to victory. Because it's just...
Do you want to know what my most surprising thing is that I just learned now?
Huh.
So the significant strikes landed are 25 to 17.
Yes.
Sergei landed a total of 145.
Yeah.
That's to where Jar Jar landed 17 out of 23, and 17 of those were significant. I did not that's crazy to me that Sergei Pavolvich, the man that came in, he lost his debut, 6-fight winning streak, all knockouts, first round, couple sub minutes, went 15 minutes and threw 145, landed 145 total strikes, and only 25 of those were significant strikes.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, because it was just he had.
I'm even more surprised about that than the takedown right now. I'm sorry. I just saw that.
And the thing is, 100% of his significant strikes were landed at distance. He did not land a single significant strike on the ground.
Yep.
There it is. Okay, you're smart.
Because 2 for 2 on takedowns, over 6 minutes of control time for Sergei Pavolvich. Got the takedowns in the second and third round, and like you said, with just the attempted total strikes for Sergei: 51 round 1, 64 round 2, 93 round 3. So it was just building, using that grappling just to get more off. They didn't score a knockdown for him at all, but I think it was the third round where it looked more of like the legit knockdown. I can't remember if it was that or the second round, but either way, it just looked. It wasn't the most thrilling fight, but I was very happy to just see him showing that he's actually trying to improve his overall skill set and what he can go out there and do, because it's one of those things where it's like, we know that fucking Jairzinho is a very good kickboxer and he's a good counter fighter. He has power in his hands. And I also found out on the broadcast that they trained together before, which is like back-to-back fights for Sergei of former training partners. It's like, that's a motherfucking rough thing, man. Yeah. Also, the only 2 fights now in the UFC, he's gone to decision. So that's clearly showing something. But to just be like, I can use the takedowns as a path to victory, that was just so good and so smart. It's like, how many times at especially heavyweight is there just these big strikers, whatever, and fucking kill or be killed, like win or lose, they are just gonna do what they can only do and be like, well, that's all I can do, and not ever try to do something new. And for him to do that made all the difference in the fight, and that's why he got the unanimous decision.
No, 100%. Like, that's kind of just, it is what it is. Like, minute 9 control time in the first round, 2:19 in the second, 2:49 in the third. It is one of those things, like, having to fight former teammates back to back, like, it's kind of insane. Like, most of the time that's not something that ends up happening. I really don't know, like, what to really make of a lot of the fight, because, like, I don't know how much Sergei is going to be able to use the grappling in other fights in the division, depending on who he fights next. And, like, I don't know. It's just kind of he's in a weird spot right now for me, like, where I'm, like, unsure of what I really think, like, where he's at. Because obviously he's one of the hardest hitting fighters in the division. Like, that can't be questioned. Like, 6-fight win streak with 6 knockouts in the, 5 of them. Yeah. So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah. No, because it's like, he's already fought and beaten a lot of guys like below him or whatever, and then it's just like, losing to Tom and Volkov, it's just like, okay, where do we kind of put you at? I could end up winding into a Giles and Almeida fight or something, you know what I mean? That could end up, other than that, it's like, because I know you said it before, a winner of Marcin Tybura, Mick Parkins, you know what I mean? It's I mean, I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's really gonna be Giles and Almeida, or
if Tybura wins, I wouldn't be surprised if they did Tybura.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tybura, I wouldn't be surprised by.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that they'll do Mick Parkin versus him.
Mick, I honestly see them trying to get him into, like, either Jairzinho or a Sergei.
Maybe Spivak.
Yeah, Sergei Spivak. I just realized, I said Sergei for...
But yeah. So yeah, I don't know what exactly to do, but either way, definitely just gonna have to fight someone below him.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can just do get him some fights against people that, not some of like just the up and comers and stuff, but yeah, just fights that he hasn't had against the guys that have been hanging around, so he could just build a win streak again, just get going, you know what I mean, and then find himself in rematches with Volkov and Tom Aspinall down the line.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did appreciate Tom saying afterwards that heavyweight's pretty boring and that these guys got to get more exciting. So that was very nice. Tom always bringing the thunder.
Yeah. And
well, let's go.
With Jairzinho, can we just get the Jairzinho Derek Lewis fight at this point?
I don't know how good of a fight that's going to be. I feel like we missed the point where we had the, where it was going to be its best. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like it's just going to be Jar Jar trying to point fight him to a decision,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with this. It's not too great heavyweight division, you know what I mean? But, it does have the division with the most fighters coming off of a win in it.
I don't care.
God, that's
Let's go. But moving on down the card.
Second weakest it's ever been.
Moving on down the card. Great fight at 135 pounds. Definitely was not. I did not expect it to play out like this. Like, okay. Where are you going?
All I have to say about this is I vividly remember saying at the start of round 2 that it's awesome that we can get high-level fights outside of the rankings, unlike heavyweights where there's this significant drop-off. And by the end of round 2, the way we were like, wow, this turned sloppy. It was awesome, but it got so sloppy so fucking quick.
It did. Go on. It was hilarious.
Vinicius Oliveira gets the unanimous decision win over Said Nurmagomedov. And that's why I had to put it in the rundown of in an absolute slobber knocker.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because that is exactly what it fucking turned into. I mean, the first round, I was getting so nervous because Said was fucking game on point, ready to rock and roll for this fight. And no respect, Vinicius is just going into him from the start of the fight. Wild shots, big shots, you know what I mean? Just trying to put the pressure on him. Said is ripping so many crazy kicks up top, spins to the body, spins all over, leg kicks, body kick, like just dynamic as hell with the kicks like he always does. The lead leg kicks were just the lead leg kicks from the head, whatever, just so fast from Said, throughout the fight. It was absolutely ridiculous. But then, like you said, by like the middle of round 2, because Vinicius with the nonstop pressure, they both got tired. And the amount of times of Vinicius just throwing such a big looping shot and then
Said trying to match it and throwing the same looping shot back at him.
Throwing himself off balance all over the place. They're just spinning around at times because that's just like where their momentum's going. Like it was fucking wild, man.
Because you bringing up the fast lead leg kick just made me remember. I believe it was round 3 where Said threw a fast lead leg kick, and Jimmy was like, damn, even when he's tired, he could still throw that fast lead, unlike Umar. And even not that they're related or anything, but just the funnies.
Yeah.
And then directly after that, went to throw a round kick with his back leg, and there was maybe 4% of power and speed behind that, and he just stumbling over. It was like, oh, it's all gone.
And it's gone.
Literally everything at that point was put into it, but
it was awesome.
Yeah.
They got fight of the night.
They got fight of the night. Definitely was in contention for getting fight of the night. Not mad at that at all. The fact that Vinicius Oliveira made Said shoot on 9 takedowns and only get 1, and that was in the first round.
Yeah. He did absolutely beautiful with the takedown defense.
And with the grappling, because he got taken down, is able to either reverse it or get up, because Said only had 9 seconds of control time in that first round. Vinicius went 2 for 4 on the takedowns in that round and had 2 minutes 44 seconds of control time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overall, Saeed went 1 for
Yeah.
9, and Vinicius went 3 for 5 with a total of 7 minutes and 12 seconds control time for Vinicius, less than a minute for Saeed. But I see why Saeed be losing decisions, because it's like, yeah, he is tough as hell. Ate a lot of big shots that Vinicius has been putting other people out with. But that cardio, man, he just can't keep up the pace. It is crazy.
Yeah.
I think if you're fighting Saeed, anyone who's fighting Saeed next, it's like, yeah, start ripping to that body and watch that cardio start dropping.
Yeah. But like that's where it's because with Vinicius, it's like he was way too wild in this one. But like you could see how sorry, I'm messing it. Sorry. Okay. Sorry to struggle for a second.
I hate that feeling. You can't acknowledge the sneeze. You kind of got to let it come out. Otherwise, it's going to get stuck in your face and you get that feeling.
I'm good. But so like way too wild, way too sloppy in this one. The striking skills are so goddamn good. The grappling is amazing. If he could just hone it all in to a bit more focused strike selection and just like more tuned in game plan, then I feel like he is going to be a true monster in this division, because just be a bit tighter with the shots, just be a bit more consistent with the body work, and just, you know what I mean? Not such reckless pressure. The cardio is like, just managing that. He's going to be able to go more, and then he's going to be such a problem for a lot of these people.
Yeah. It's funny because after this fight, still calling for Umar, talking about, I think Umar's scared of me. And it's like, brother, that's not the fight. But I do think a good fight for him, if he is going to get into the rankings, would be like an Ayman Zahabi, because he's super solid as a fighter. And it's like, that'll just show like, no, like you got to get your shit together. Because if you have a game plan against him, he could beat him. I don't know if he'll be able to finish him, because Ayman's tough as hell. But he could get a decision over him too. He just needs to pull it together. But I think that's a really good test.
Yeah, because if he's too reckless, then Ayman's just going to fucking find all of the holes in his game, shut him down, and he's going to be looking like, oh, fuck, like, I fucked up in this one.
Yeah. Because it's like, even if he does take the loss, that might be the loss he needs to, like, learn, like, okay, I got to pull it together,
100%. I really do like that fight, too, honestly. I feel like that's a great one.
No, yeah,
but yeah,
that does make sense.
But yeah, that's such a great fight, a fun fight. Definitely both deserve the extra $50,000 bonus for that one.
Yep.
Last fight on the main card that also could have gotten fight of the night for sure. Ziam taking on Mike Davis. This was a great fight as well. Definitely a bit more grapple heavy, just like, in terms of just like how the fight played out.
Yes.
But that grappling was so fun.
Yeah.
Two reversals
round two?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go. Yeah.
I was just going to say for Ziam, he had 2 reversals. Mike Davis had 3. Faraz got 4 out of 7 takedowns. Mike Davis 1 for 8. It was a lot of good grappling in there.
Yes.
Yeah, because round 2, bruh, I don't know what the fuck Ziam's legs are made out of, or what's going on in there, or maybe it's just one of those guys where it's like, oh yeah, no, he probably just tore every fucking thing in that knee, you know what I mean, and he just wasn't reacting and like able to. I don't know, but Mike Davis going to those calf slicers, man, that was absolutely crazy. The way that he had that leg torque and angled at the one point was just so ridiculous. I do not know how Ziam did not tap, or, you know what I mean, just have something just visibly get fucked up and he was injured for, you know what I mean? Absolutely crazy for him to tough that out. Ends up getting the unanimous decision win. Yeah, that was a great fun fight.
He posted afterwards and not showing anything of an injury, just standing and walking. So, he might be made of something crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But yeah, just a great scratch. Round 1, not really sure why Mike Davis was just going to pull guard and stuff so much. That really was just such a hindrance to him. Easily lost that round because of that.
Yeah.
But then once he started to actually grab the takedowns, bro, the one point where he got around to his back and then just picked him up, slammed him down right into taking back control. That was just so cool to watch.
Yeah. Nah, he definitely had a lot of really cool moments in there. It was just a really fun fight. The grappling, like we said, just amazing. Yeah, Mike Davis getting split open on the forehead and just all the blood everywhere definitely made it look extra crazy in the moment, but still.
Yep. It made it hard for him to just keep the moments going for him, for just getting way too slippery
Bro, they were
slippery
both
in there.
covered in his blood. It's like, they were slippery as hell.
Yeah. So Faraz just, especially a third round, just being able to get the dominant positions more. And just a great fight between the two of them. Faraz Ziam is just looking real nice on this streak now. I don't know exactly. I just feel like just one of those guys the UFC doesn't really care too much about to push or do anything with, you know what I mean? But it's like the last one getting the good knockout over Matt Frivola, and then just a real good fun fight with Mike Davis here on a 5-fight win streak.
For him to kind of get him breaking those barriers.
Exactly.
Especially considering he's now on a 5-fight winning streak. Definitely going to be, potentially looking to get pushed into close to the top 15, if not fighting someone at the bottom end of that top 15.
Because, I know Grant Dawson kind of called for, he wants to fight soon, and, he'll fight Benny since Benny's fight got pulled,
Yeah.
If they don't do that, do you think that we might get like a Grant versus Faraz fight?
That's very possible.
That's very possible.
Because Grant's just one of those guys in and out of the rankings that they also don't care about. So it's like, I feel like they won't give a shit to just be like, nah, you could fight this guy that's coming up and let's see how you do,
Yeah.
If you win, then you can get a fight up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But the thing is, I could also see them looking at like the landscape. It's like, Jalen, I don't know if you're supposed to be in the top 15. Let's give you Faraz Ziam and let's see what it is,
Yeah, looking at the top 15, that was definitely the next name that I thought that, if anything, that would be I would love to see that fight play out. But I do feel like probably Grant is going to be the one to just be like, well, you just got back in, defend your spot. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But yeah, it definitely 5-fight win streak at 155. No matter who you are, that's about the range where you start to get pushed a little bit more, and you start to get into those positions to get better fights.
It puts him at number 3 on the streak because number 1 is Islam at 14.
At lightweight? Yeah, 14 at lightweight.
And then Paddy Pimblett at 6, and now Faraz at 5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think Joel is on I think he might be on like a 3 or 4.
I'm pretty sure that they showed it yesterday, and those were the 3 names. They didn't show
Those were the 3 names. It's just where is Joel? Yeah. Joel's on 3-fight win streak.
Okay, yeah. So it's definitely at that point where deserving to be top 15 for sure. Let's go. That is the main card. Prelims. What were you guys most impressed about? What do you guys want to bring up?
Well, okay, it's kind of hard to say that I'm impressed by T.Wrecks doing what he did, because he got a first round knockout. Like, it's always going to be fun. It's always going to be impressive, but it's basically a first round win for T.Wrecks, or he gets finished in the first round. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's kill or be killed shit. He was fighting Damir, and I don't know. He got a really fun knockout.
Yeah. I did not realize how long of a layoff and everything it was for Damir Hadžović coming into it. And that was
kind of just felt bad for him, but it's always good to see T.Wrecks get a win. So there's that.
Yeah.
Jasmine Jasudavicius with the solid UD over Mayra Bueno after Mayra made her way back down to 125.
Yeah, that easily the biggest fight on the prelims, most notable. We technically did have another one for top 15 implications, you know what I mean, on the prelims, but this one easily better. That I really thought that Mayra would just be more physical and just, you know what I mean, and just have a bit more of advantages in this fight, but it just did not. I don't think going down to 125 helped her at all. I feel like she is just easily one of those people that, especially on the women's side and in that range, not a ton of them at all, but it's like if there was a 130, you know what I mean, that's easily where she sits at. She's a bit you know what I mean, doesn't have doesn't have the cardio physicality to keep up at 135 pounds, but I feel like 125 is just too much for her because
it's just, I don't know. Again, it was just one of those fights that I wasn't too surprised, and said it in the preview that I feel like she kind of hit her peak of where she's at in the divisions, with 135 being significantly less stacked with just less talent there. It was easier for her to get certain wins and move up in that. But, obviously losses to Rocky and Macy, that's not bad, but seeming that she's like, no, I want gold or I want to move up, whatever it may be. 125 was absolutely not the option because there is more talent. They are better from the back half all the way up to the top.
Yep.
And at 125, it's like I said, you know what I mean? Just like losing to Marina Moroz, going to the draw with Montana De La Rosa. I know like losing to Manon is not bad, but still it's just like, I feel like she hit her peak at 125, and that was not really even being a top 15 contender. And 135 gave her that ability to move up, and I think she needs to accept that and kind of figure out where she wants to be at,
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Or just put it together. Like, it's not like she's old. She's 33. Damn, I kind of thought she was a little younger, but I don't know. I don't know what she needs to do.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like she's kind of hit like her peak with what she's doing right now. There needs to be like things that need to be tightened up and things that need to just be worked on for her to keep going up, because at this point it's like she's now moved down to 125 and has lost to number 12, so it's like, where do you go from there if you're staying in this division?
Yeah, if she can get her footwork going a little bit better and like a little bit better wrestling, I feel like that would take her that would take her to the top of the division. Just needs to be able to grab the takedowns easier, maintain the top position, you know what I mean, and just be able to use her grappling effectively, because it's like, on the feet she's just too slow and plodding and is just way too willing to accept damage. Definitely a great win for Jasmine Jasudavicius, though. Can't wait to see what she's able to do 125 pounds and just keep on moving up in the division. Definitely a big name on her record here.
Yep.
But yeah, and then the Shamil Gaziev, he got a win defending his shot. It's his spot at the top 15. Good for him, I guess, But let's go. That is UFC Saudi Arabia, just losing some cards heading into it, or losing some fights on this card heading into it, so that kind of sucked, but it is what it is. Tapology, Kate didn't do her picks, so that sucked. Made it less fun.
I'm sorry, I forgot. The card was at 7 a.m. and it is what it is. Feel like that sometimes,
Absolutely terrible. But me and Ginger, we got ours in. He beat me. I came in second. Very sad. So unofficial streak going for Ginger, but
official streak.
Unofficial.
You beat Jimmy, but you didn't beat me. So this is not a win over the group.
No. Fuck that, because I have forgotten to put mine in as well. And you guys were saying, no, it's an official win. So no. Fuck that shit.
I don't think that's true at all.
Probably.
I don't recall anything of the sorts.
That sounds like
that's because you guys are potheads, so.
What?
It just sounds like we'd say whatever to go against Ginger. So.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's the other part of it.
It's
plausible.
Plausible.
Well, let's go. Other than that, we did have some draft results on for yesterday. Kate had 2 fighters.
Yes, because Jasmine Jasudavicius got the win, and then Bilal Hassan, a CFFC fighter, he defended his title. That just it's like, I know we were talking about it, and it's like he's super young and doesn't have the most fights, but it's like, bro, there's no one that I feel like he's going to be able to get fights against in just regional flyweight. Like, he's just fucking these people up. It's so dynamic. Because this is the first time since like that he's won a fight that I have seen now multiple pages being like, oh, this prospect, like for the UFC, are we going to see him in the UFC soon? Because it's like, he had 3 fantastic wins just the last year alone. Never heard anything of it, never seen anyone talking about him. But after this win last night, I've just seen a lot of different like outlets being like, yo, dog, we might have a new prospect.
And it's like, it makes sense because obviously he's like defending the title now in CFFC and stuff. So that's definitely for more people.
No, for sure. But it's just like, you
caught on to him early,
we might see him soon.
Oh yeah, I would not be surprised if he either just gets a UFC contract soon or fights on the Contender Series this year. So let's go. And then I got a win with Vinicius Oliveira, bringing me to 3-0 overall in the draft. Kate 3-1, Ginger 1-2. So you gotta. It just sucks that I forget when the next fight he has coming up.
It's fairly soon.
4 weeks,
something like that.
Shit. Well, hopefully you could catch up. Maybe beat Kate. Kate's got to come in last this year, honestly. Yeah,
What?
that's really what's got to be.
I'm gonna win.
No, you already got a worse rate than me going on right now. 3-1. I'm 3-0. Undefeated.
Yeah, but I was supposed to lose that fight.
You were gonna have a loss on your record, my guy. Like,
bro, they switched last minute
maybe.
Moicano to fight Islam. Of course, I was taking a loss. Like,
yeah,
I know. But hey, maybe I just win all of my fights this year. You know what I mean?
Cannoneer. I don't think Cannoneer's being a RoboCop. I'm not gonna lie.
We'll see. But let's go. Last little thing to bring up for this podcast.
Oh yeah, I forgot it's not here. Jesus Christ.
I don't even know like how to just.
Okay, well, I guess it's just like, is anyone surprised that Bryce Mitchell, the geocentric flat earther, believes in every conspiracy theory in the world, thinks that the Holocaust isn't real and believes in conspiracy theories revolving around Jewish people and all of these things?
Well, not only that,
I'm just not quite surprised. I just can't believe that he went so deep into it on the first episode of his podcast.
Yeah, first episode of his podcast, straight down the hill, talking about how Hitler was a good guy.
Well, he did say before meth.
Yeah, he said before he turned on Russia specifically, and before he got on meth. Which even then, it's like that is way too far.
The Holocaust happened.
Yes, there's that.
Like, I'm not surprised, but I'm still taken aback and just I don't know. It's such a conflicting feeling of surprised but not surprised. You know?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And like I said, I've not. It's why I never found the whole flat Earth thing, the geocentrism thing about him funny, because I'm like, no, just about every conspiracy that ever happens almost always ends with either aliens or Jews. Every time, without fail. And so I'm not surprised that he thinks these things almost at all. He also said that U.S. internment camps during World War II for Japanese Americans was a good thing, while also using a slur.
I didn't hear that.
Yes. The complete anti-Semitism and homophobia he was spewing during his rant. I'm like, dude, whoever the co-host was, I was like, because I've seen parts of the clips, and I'm like, this dude looks uncomfortable as fuck. He's just like, well, there goes my whole career down the drain.
Well, yeah, because there was that one
tried to push back on it a little bit.
That's what I was going to say, is I can't remember exactly what it was that he said, but he said something to him of like, no, but this was fucked up that he just did this to people for existing. Yeah. And Bryce was like, no, because if you look at it and educate yourself, it's not true. And he was just like, what the fuck? And like, yeah, bro, like, it's hard to find the correct words, you know?
No, yeah, that's honestly how I just feel about it, because
of just how ignorant and dense and.
Because his research is more than likely some dude's blog somewhere who's saying some bullshit he heard from some dude who wrote a book because he was able to get it published. Some dude who probably self-published a book about these things because no one actually took him fucking seriously.
Yeah,
because it's non-serious. Like, we have record documentation of this. Like, literally, Germany does not disagree with this. Germany is like, no, this shit happened.
Because I saw that fucking Jan Blachowicz, he just sent like a message or whatever of just like saying of like, hey, why don't you come to Poland and I'll take you on an educational tour of what actually happened. And it's one of those things where it's like he really has to fucking re-educate himself and to get off the fucking internet and out with some real goddamn people in the world it's crazy. And it's just one of the things with the UFC too, where I am not surprised at all that Dana White, his only real thing to say about it is like, oh yeah, we don't like it, it's disgusting, but free speech. So, but it's this is something it's not surprising, but it's like, just one of those things. It's like, this is what you get, UFC. Like, there have been so many things for so long that people say and do whatever, and people are like, hey, like, you don't have a problem with that? And there's like, oh, well, we don't censor people, and like the whatever their punishment with the law is, that's punishment enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, but let them say something about the Reebok deal or the Venom deal, and immediately like that is it's like, no, they're fucking hypocrites. Like, I need y'all to be fucking like real with me on this shit. He does not give a fuck about free speech. He just gives a fuck if it fucks up his money. That's it. He's a fucking hypocrite. That's what it is.
No, for sure. And that's where it's just like, this is the furthest and craziest thing that someone has ever said. And I just wonder how far out there it's going to get. How just, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, you continue to let people step the lines to like what is generally acceptable to most people in society. You know what I mean? Obviously that varies depending on your group, but it's like it's only going to continue to get worse and worse with certain people and certain things, and eventually it is going to supremely bite them in the ass. And
I'm kind of surprised this one. I thought this one was going to. I thought they were going to.
We have to give it some time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
still fresh. Is like, I thought that this was going to be something where they might draw a line at, because like you said, it is just like, people say a lot of fucked up things, but there's a lot of just, background to certain society things where it's like, yeah, it's fucked up, but a lot of people don't actually give a shit. Like when it's homophobic, when it's misogynistic, when it's whatever it may be, you know what I mean? When it's fucking racist, it's just, as long as it's not a certain line, then whatever. But this is like that certain line. This is the furthest of some lines that you could fucking cross and say against things that I thought they might actually do something.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like, this is going to be where it might turn around and bite them in the ass, because this is like a lot of the other things that happen, a lot of the other controversy, the crimes that are committed, the words that are used, the things that are said, stay within the MMA community. It is talked about within the MMA community. It is MMA outlets that talk about it. It is whatever. But like you said, it's fresh, but there are already people talking about it that are well outside of the MMA community, that it's like, damn, how far will this blow up and how will this turn around, Anya?
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see like where this all goes, like with like potential media coverage and all that, like that are outside of the MMA sphere. It is just one of those things, like going back to what you said about him talking about free speech and all that. I just want to know when free speech became freedom from consequence. Like, when the fuck did that happen? Because like the thing is, freedom of speech is all about the government not doing any, like, censoring you and things like that. That doesn't mean, like, because I have seen people make the argument that you're disrespecting his free speech by telling him he's wrong and stupid. It's like, well, no, that's my free speech to tell him he's fucking wrong and stupid. Then,
well, people are so brain broken at this point in time.
No, they are.
Like, it's just,
half of them are trolls. Half of them are trolls. Half of them are edgelords who actually believe the shit. And then there are just the people who are like, does it really matter? And it's like, well, actually, yes, it does, because a lot of these conspiracies, the pseudoscience, pseudo-archaeology, like, this is what makes society dumber. There's so much anti-intellectualism within the world now because of people, like, not pushing back enough on these things.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't draw a line and hold the line, then it only just gets pushed further and further. And it's like, it just definitely had to be brought up and, just talked about. But yeah, it just, we'll see if there's any big things to come with this in coming weeks, month, whatever, you know what I mean?
The only funny things that came from it are Josh Emmett talking about what did I miss after not fighting since knocking him the fuck out.
Right.
Caio Borrallo tuning in, talking about fuck you, or damn you, Josh Emmett, it's all your fault. Just the random things from the community pushing back on him where I thought it was funny, like in the actual fighters.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell's, the ed I sent you where it's Bryce Mitchell in the corner, Bryce Mitchell's next fight, and then it's Poatan in the other corner.
Yeah. So little things like that are funny, but real shit, maybe he should actually take Jan up on his offer, because I believe Jan is being genuine and not like, oh, come Jan here and I'll beat the shit out of you. Like, Jan will genuinely, I think, take him around, teach him a goddamn lesson with education, and he should read a real book, like the real shit.
No, for real. For sure. Like, that's the thing. Like, there are so many people, like, he can actually, like, there are literally, like, historians and people he can actually talk to, reach out to. Like, it is not, legitimately, it is not hard to reach out to historians. They will teach you if you want to learn. Like, but that's the thing. It's because because he is such a conspiracy theorist, because it's mainstream education, it's indoctrination, and it's like, dude, you're being indoctrinated into these conspiracy theories. And you don't even realize it because it's propaganda, and that's how propaganda spreads. It spreads very easily because it dumbs everything down to where it's like very simple and like linear. Like things aren't linear.
Yeah.
Things are more like a web than anything else.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is it for this episode of the podcast. A whole bunch of stuff going on.
Can't wait for the comments on this one. If there are any.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see how everything plays out. Some good fights over the weekend. Bryce has to end his podcast after episode 1. We'll see how that plays out. I'm sure a lot of people are really going to be tuning in for episode 2. So
I'm sure he'll make another episode.
There's
no way.
Considering he had an apology, but the first episode is still up.
Yeah. That I'm sure his podcast is going to be a whole ongoing MMA thing, and it's going to be.
It's just
gonna
like
be fun.
The next thing he's gonna say is gonna be fucking insane. I can already tell.
It's gonna be something we see in those iceberg videos.
No, for real.
But
let's go. If you look at it.
I hope everyone enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one previewing UFC 312 from Australia. Du Plessis versus Strickland 2. Let's go. Peace out, everyone.